There it was, a smear of crimson lipstick on the collar of his pale blue shirt. It wasn't mine. I don't even wear red. I stared at it for what felt like forever, pinching the fabric between my fingers as if the stain might whisper its own explanation, but it stayed silent. When he returned home, I asked him about it. Calm as always. He froze instantly. His eyes flickered restlessly, searching for a lie he could live with. "It was just a fleeting moment," he muttered, voice hushed, almost weighted with shame. "It didn't mean anything. Please, just understand." I nodded slowly. Understand? I repeated the word as if rolling it on my tongue. He relaxed slightly, assuming that was the end of it, that I might cry, maybe lash out, and then let us slip back into routine, like always. But something inside me had fractured, not with a bang, but quietly, like ice splitting under hidden pressure. No sound, yet impossible to mend. That night, he snored softly beside me while I lay wide awake, staring at the ceiling. The room was shadowed, but my mind was restless and sharp. I thought of the way he kissed me only days ago, the way he said he loved me while lying without a pause. I thought about the meals I cooked, the birthdays I planned, the comfort I gave while he turned me into a fool. He wanted me to understand. Fine, I would. I would understand the kind of man he truly was. I would understand how long he had been betraying me. I would understand every secret he thought he could hide. While he slept, I slipped out of bed and opened my laptop. I created a new folder on my desktop. I named it Understanding. And then I began. No tears, no raised voice, just quiet, steady planning, the kind that doesn't fade. I didn't know everything yet, but I knew one thing. If he wanted me to understand, I would help him understand too. What it feels like to lose everything. And I would do it with a smile. I began acting as though nothing had shifted. I smiled whenever he entered a room. I laughed at his terrible jokes. I kissed him goodnight. I let him believe he was safe, that he had escaped consequence. It was the simplest way to keep him careless. I was gentle, calm, and agreeable, just as he wanted me to be. But beneath that surface, I was transforming. I was becoming sharper, colder, more deliberate. I wasn't going to scream or shatter plates. I was going to gather evidence, piece by piece. First, I installed a keylogger on our shared desktop computer. He often logged into his email there, thinking I wasn't paying attention. Next, I figured out how to link his phone's cloud backups to mine. It took trial and error, but eventually I broke in. Suddenly, I had every text, every photo, every call log, an entire world that had been hidden from me. And the things I uncovered? There were hotel receipts stretching back 3 months, all billed to a credit card I never knew existed. A playlist on Spotify titled For Her, filled with love songs he never once played for me. His location history revealed midday detours that contradicted every excuse he'd given me. But worst of all was the secret Instagram account. Private. Hidden. Except I had his login. Dozens of photos of her, some with him, smiling, hugging, one where she pressed her lips to his cheek while he grinned like a reckless teenager. Their captions were filled with inside jokes, her comments glowed with lines like, "Best day ever." And still, every night, he came home to me, asking what I wanted for dinner. I didn't cry. Not anymore. I saved every screenshot. I labeled everything. Photos, receipts, messages, lies. I built folders, subfolders, organized them with dates and notes. I made backups on USB drives, in cloud storage, enough of a trail to bury him. Every time a rage bubbled inside me, I returned to the evidence. It steadied me. It reminded me this wasn't just pain, it was purpose. He thought he was clever, untouchable, but he was sloppy, arrogant. He forgot one crucial truth. I always paid attention. Now I was watching everything, quietly, completely. And I wouldn't stop until I had every tool I needed to destroy him, both legally and emotionally. I stared at her picture for a long time before deciding to reach out. She was attractive, younger than me by a few years, always posing like she was auditioning for some reality show. Glossy lips, false lashes, the whole look. But she didn't seem cruel, just naive. I didn't approach her with insults or threats. I kept it measured, diplomatic. Hi, I know who you are. I'm his wife. I'm not here to fight. I just want the truth. She read it almost immediately, left me hanging on the typing bubble, then finally replied, I thought you two were separated. Of course. He had spun her the same story he probably rehearsed, told her I was unhinged, that I screamed constantly, that I was controlling, that our marriage was basically over, but I refused to leave. He painted himself as the victim, making me the bitter wife clinging to something dead. Classic. I didn't have to push. Once I stayed polite, she poured it all out, almost eager to confess. They'd met at a networking event. He told her he was stuck in a loveless home. She admitted he charmed her at first, but she wasn't truly in love with him. He spends too much, always trying to impress me. Honestly, I was already thinking of ending it. He's exhausting. She had no idea what she had stepped into. She thought I'd be hysterical, broken. Instead, I thanked her for her honesty. I didn't hate her. She'd been lied to, just like I had. The only difference was that she didn't have a ring on her finger. After I ended the call, I leaned back and smiled for the first time in weeks. She gave me timelines, dates, details I hadn't even asked for. It was as though she was helping me without realizing it. She didn't want him. I didn't want him either, but what I wanted was justice, and now I had even more ammunition. I returned to my folders and created a new one, titled Her Side, because now I had both stories, his and hers, and neither would save him from what was coming next. I turned my attention to the money next. My name is Eloin March. His name is Peregrine Hale. We lived in a roomy townhome in a coastal town outside the city, the sort of place where neighbors wave and nobody locks their gate, which made his arrogance feel even crueler. I had always handled most of our day-to-day bills, but I hadn't looked deeper. Trust had been a mistake. I started small and methodical. Bank statements, credit card PDFs, anything I could access on his laptop. I opened emails from banks, dug through archived bills, followed the little trails that careless people leave behind. It didn't take long for a pattern to emerge. Charges at boutiques I'd never visited, an expensive bracelet, hotel stays listed as business travel, deposits that routed to an unfamiliar account. He worked remotely and was supposed to be home. The numbers told another story. I reset passwords, logged into hidden accounts, and found a second bank profile Peregrine used to squirrel money away. He'd been funneling funds into it, small, steady transfers that wouldn't ring alarm bells, but added up. The bracelet alone was over $900, paid from our joint account. He was funding his new life with our money. I printed everything, receipts in color, screenshots labeled by date, red tabs for purchases tied to her, blue for secret transfers, green for cash withdrawals that never matched his explanations. I made USB backups, cloud copies, and a binder that grew thicker than our wedding album. Each piece fit into a timeline until the whole picture was undeniable. This stopped being about anger and became strategy. I'd thought quietness might mean weakness. Instead, it became my advantage. While I made his favorite dinners and played the forgiving wife, I was building a case. I found a lawyer, Arden Clark, who specialized in high-conflict divorces. Arden didn't bat an eye at a folder I brought in. Cheating, hidden accounts, financial diversion. She listened and then smiled, like she'd just been handed the opening move of a game she loved. She coached me on what to say and what to avoid, how to move without alerting him, and how to protect my trail. I opened a new bank account in my own name. I didn't empty the joint account. That would be obvious and messy. Instead, I moved money slowly, legitimately. Refunds from groceries, small freelance payments, birthday cash from relatives. Little by little, I fed my escape fund. Peregrine was too busy gloating about how things had calmed down at home to notice. Every morning, I kissed him goodbye, packed his lunch, asked about his meetings, laughed at his tired jokes. To him, it felt like we were healing. That was the point. He had no idea I had a lawyer, a printed binder, backups, and a packed suitcase stashed in my car trunk. Every smile I gave him was another inch of rope. I was almost ready. On the morning of our anniversary, I rose early and prepared a full breakfast. Pancakes, eggs, bacon, even his favorite coffee laced with a hint of cinnamon. When Peregrine wandered into the kitchen in his robe, yawning like it was any ordinary morning, his face lit up. "Wow," he said, gritting. "What's the occasion?" "Our anniversary," I answered with a smile, setting his plate before him. He kissed my cheek, sat down, and dug in. He didn't notice the envelope I'd placed beside his coffee cup. Not at first. Halfway through his second bite, I said, "There's something I'd like you to read." His chewing slowed. He glanced at the envelope, lifted it with one hand. "What's this?" "Just something I've been working on," I replied, sipping my coffee. He opened it. Silence swallowed the kitchen. He read the first page and his expression collapsed. "Divorce," he stammered, blinking like the word itself betrayed him. "Wait, what? You said you'd understand." I nodded, steady. "I do. I understand alimony laws very well." He stared, mouth slack, fork still spearing a piece of pancake. "You think you can just... After all this?" His voice cracked. "You can't be serious." I pushed my chair back, stood slowly. "You spent months lying. You spent our money on her. You built a secret life. And now you're shocked that I won't smile and stay?" "It wasn't like that," he muttered quickly, shaking his head. "I have receipts." I cut him off, leaning just slightly forward. Emails, messages, bank transfers, photos, recordings. "You want me to keep going?" He swallowed hard, speechless. "This isn't just a breakup. It's legal. It's thorough. And it's already in motion." The silence grew heavy, so heavy the ticking of the kitchen clock sounded like thunder. I picked up my bag, already packed. Keys in hand, I walked to the door. "Enjoy your breakfast. It's the last one you'll ever get from me." He didn't follow me. He sat there, stunned, holding divorce papers like they might catch fire in his hands. For the first time in months, I smiled. Wide, genuine, free. The trap was set, and Peregrine had walked straight into it. Peregrine showed up to court in a suit I had chosen for him years ago. His hair was slicked back, his demeanor polished, as if charm alone might save him once more. His lawyer played the predictable game, painting me as unstable, dramatic, and vengeful. They argued I was making decisions out of jealousy, trying to ruin his reputation. I didn't flinch. Neither did Arden, my lawyer. She stood with a folder so thick it barely closed. Calmly, piece by piece, she laid everything out. Photographs, texts, credit card statements, hotel receipts, the hidden account, the gifts for his mistress, all paid for with money from our joint life. Each lie he had told was met with documented proof. Peregrine's smile faltered after the second batch of screenshots. By the time Arden outlined the financial abuse, he couldn't even raise his eyes. Then came the surprise he never saw coming. His mistress entered the courtroom. She had been subpoenaed. His face drained of color the moment she walked in. She took the stand and confirmed it all. That he lied to her, that he told her I was violent, that he claimed we were separated, that he promised her money, trips, even help with rent. She brought her own receipts, texts, voice messages, screenshots where he laughed about how easy it was to keep secrets. The judge barely had to speak. The evidence was overwhelming. The ruling came swift and merciless. Full division of assets in my favor, monthly alimony payments, and an additional fine for concealing the hidden account. Arden nodded like a chess player who had just won a long, calculated game. Peregrine sat deflated, silent, stripped of his confidence. I didn't feel guilty. Not for a moment. This wasn't revenge. It was justice, delivered openly, legally, undeniable. He had built his life on lies, but in court there was no escape. The fallout began almost immediately. A week after the court ruling, Peregrine's employer contacted me. I hadn't reached out to them, but the financial documents entered into evidence had triggered concerns. They launched a routine review of his accounts, hidden assets, misuse of joint funds, shady freelance dealings. All of it surfaced. 2 days later, he was fired. No severance, no references, just a box of belongings and a security escort out of the building. The job he bragged about endlessly, gone in a moment. That same week, the mistress disappeared from his life. She stopped answering his messages, deleted her Instagram, and vanished. She hadn't wanted him. She had wanted the benefits. Without money or prestige, he had nothing to offer her. He tried reaching out to me once, sending a message asking for closure. I ignored it. He eventually moved in with his brother, who wasn't thrilled about hosting him. His condo, his double life, his imagined future, reduced to a pull-out couch and a cloud of quiet shame. As for me, I sold the house we had shared. I wanted no part of it. Too many shadows clinging to the walls. With my share of the settlement and the advance from the alimony, I bought a smaller, brighter place that belonged entirely to me. New walls, new furniture, and a silence that felt clean, not suffocating. I opened a fresh bank account in my name only, no joint anything. Every month, the alimony deposits arrived like clockwork, a reminder not of loss, but of victory. I had not been broken. I had walked away with everything he thought I would never notice. Let him sit with his regrets. Let him explain to friends why he fell so hard and lost so much. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't smash a single thing. I simply understood. And then I made him understood too. A few months after everything ended, I booked a solo trip to Italy. No big announcement, no one to check in with, just me, my passport, and a ticket out of the wreckage. I landed in Rome with no itinerary, only a hunger for something genuine. I wandered narrow cobblestone streets, sipped wine in small cafes, and let the sun thaw parts of me that had been cold for too long. In Florence, I passed a tiny tattoo shop tucked between a bakery and a bookstore. On impulse, I walked in and had a simple design inked behind my ear. No grand meaning, no explanation, just something for myself, because I could. Later, I joined a pasta making class in a quiet village. That night, I laughed with strangers who barely spoke English, trading stories with broken words and big gestures. We spilled wine, rolled dough, and shared moments without expectation. For the first time in years, I felt light. No lies to track, no mask to wear, no betrayal to calculate. Just living. One evening in Positano, I posted a photo of the sunset from my balcony. Minutes later, my phone buzzed with a message from an unfamiliar number. "Can we talk?" I stared at the screen. No name, but I knew it was him. Peregrine had finally realized the silence wasn't temporary, that I wasn't waiting, that the door had closed. He used a burner number. Desperate. I didn't answer. I didn't type anything back. I blocked the number and set my phone down. That was my reply. No speeches, no closure, just me. Miles away, full from a meal I had cooked with my own hands, ink fresh on my skin, the sea stretching wide before me, and not a thought wasted on a man who believed I'd wait forever. Life after lies wasn't perfect, but it was mine, and that alone made it beautiful. Months have passed now. The dust has settled. The storm is over. I sit with a glass of wine in one hand and not a single regret in the other. I hadn't planned to ever share this story, but there is something satisfying about telling it whole. Maybe it will help someone. Maybe it will sting him if he ever finds it. Either way, it's worth it. When Peregrine begged me to understand his affair, he probably expected tears, maybe pleading, maybe a dramatic scene. What he never expected was silence, a smile, and a plan that would flip his entire world. He thought I was too gentle, too trusting, too soft to fight back. What he failed to realize was that quiet doesn't mean weak. Quiet means watchful. It means learning. It means preparing. He asked me to understand, and I did. I understood the law. I understood how to gather evidence. I understood how to shift money without raising suspicion. I understood how to serve divorce papers alongside bacon and pancakes on our anniversary morning. And when the lies collapsed, when the job disappeared, when the mistress walked away, I didn't dance on the ruins. I simply walked away clean. Now I sleep deeply. I laugh more easily. I sit alone in restaurants without feeling exposed. I make plans without seeking permission. I bought a new couch he never touched, and every time I curl up on it, I smile. He lost everything he built on deceit. I gained everything I rebuilt on truth. So if you're reading this and you're the one being betrayed, remember, you don't need to scream. You don't need to break things. You don't need to beg anyone to stay. What you need is a good lawyer, a smart plan, and a quiet kind of rage. And if you're the one doing the betraying, don't ever ask someone to understand, because some of us will, and when we do, we'll make sure you understand exactly what that means. Signed, happily single, financially free, and unapologetically done. If my story resonates with you, hit the subscribe button, like the video, share to your loved ones, and comment your experiences. Thank you for listening. See you tomorrow for another life story.